may be fruitful, yet there will stretch out before you an ever-lengthening, ever-ascending, ever-improving path. You know you will never get to the end of the journey, but this, so far from discouraging, only adds to the joy and the glory of the climb. So the one path into more joy is actually practicing, learning, and surrendering into a teacher or a method and receiving new information that you can practice. So let's see if I can find where I was reading here earlier. Even my kids are learning things, not just in school, but we're always learning stuff in life. But like my older son and I started jogging this summer, and he stopped once he got to school, and he just came home and he was feeling really bad about himself because he had stopped that. And he wanted to start in again, but he had all this guilt, like, well, I didn't do well before, so why should I do it again? Is that really bad that I quit before, Mom? And it was really kind of bothering him. And I told him that practice is something you come back to again and again and again. You're never good or bad at it, and some days it sucks, and some days you miss a couple of months even, but you can always come back to it. And it's that's what it's about, is just coming back to it again and again, and noticing what you've learned from stepping away from it and coming back to it with new knowledge and with new awareness. We just keep going, we just keep learning. Let's see if I can find that. Here's a little thing here. It says, practice is not just going to a gym and chatting with your neighbors or plunking around on the guitar idly for a few minutes. It means deep, deliberate, repetitive daily work in which one pushes oneself beyond one's comfort zone in the place of discomfort and even failure. If you want to get stronger, you have to push your body beyond what it can easily do. If you want to grow as a guitarist or an instrumentalist, you have to work on the riffs, the scales, and the rhythms that seem beyond your capacity. And with concentration, focus, and repetitive determination, one can almost feel the new neural pathways that are forming in the brain and the new capabilities that are rising out of the creative chaos of deep practice and in the pushing of ourselves beyond whatever we believed we could do. Over time, through the ups and the downs, the plateaus and the leaps forward, we gain confidence in the practice of practice itself. I love that. And our self-created boundaries about who we are and what the limits of our capacities are begin to dissolve and extend into a future that we can sense, but we cannot yet clearly see. What is creative is truly novel, and we just can't know what that next stage is going to feel like and produce through us. Science is now revealing what the history of our great artists, thinkers, and achievers has always revealed, namely that there is a greatness, a growth, and transcendence. There's a way to greatness, growth, and transcendence, and that is to practice. Practice that continues over thousands of hours and through years of dedicated concentration. It isn't easy, it's hard, and sometimes monotonous and even discouraging. But ultimately it is glorious and life-affirming. In my own mind, I'm going to stop there. So practice as a path. I have 3 words written on a chalkboard in my kitchen. One is patience. For me as a parent, practicing patience, but it's also for my children to practice patience. It's not always given to us as a natural part of who we are. Another one is listening, to practice listening. And that's both listening to our surroundings, but it's listening within. And the third word that's on my chalkboard is precision. And I think that both patience and listening play into that moment of when we say something, when we do something, what movement we make, how to practice precision with our movement, but also openness so it doesn't become routine, too over practice where we're not open to the ability to be in the freedom as well as in the form of our body and movement. And so the 3 stages, I just wanted to make sure I say them correctly here. Yeah. I think that's it right there. Let me just see. Yeah. Yeah. So the first key is instruction. That means that one has the willingness to be taught. one has to be willing to learn from those who know more or who are further down this path of whatever it is we're trying to master. And then the second stage is practice, which is just repetition. And the third stage, with this being the surrender challenge, that's where it ties in, is surrender. And it just means surrendering entails surrendering to your teacher, doing what you were told with a willingness, a humility, and a gratitude. The last aspect of surrendering is to the practice itself, the ebbs and the flows, the peaks, the plateaus, the deaths, and the rebirths that are part and parcel of a vertical stage of growth. As new stages of the unfolding self emerge, each time this happens, there may occur a sense of loss and grief as the old structures and the concerns are left behind with no real certainty as to what the new territory is going to look like. This is a surrendering to the process and the rapid evolution of a stage of a development. That goes into something else, yeah. I like that, how grief and like a letting go of what you did know so you can open to the possibility of knowing something new can come in to learn, to practice and to learn. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, what you're practicing today, even setting an intention, what you'd like to practice. It could be in Kai, we're practicing our feet for a whole month and grounding. Now we're going into February and we're going to practice getting creative and getting more into what feels good in the body and letting that guide us very deeply. Nicole says, patience goes wonderfully together with allowing. Allowing the moment is so graceful, freeing, and empowering. Yeah, so agree with you. So much grace in that. Yeah, if I try to control things too much instead of allow, that's when I get the knee-jerk reaction, or I try to overdo or take over. Patience is definitely not there. And I take out that spirit aspect, that grace and possibility that's so beautiful when we allow it to come through. Yeah, and it's so freeing, empowering, beautiful. Lisa says, I'm practicing balancing and acceptance. Beautiful. Yeah. What an art, balancing. Seems like it always comes back to that for me. I'm always looking at my life with being a mother, being a business owner, taking care of my home, taking care of my health, connecting to my friends, and I always look at it like they're balls in the air, and one of them, there's no way for me to keep them all up all the time. One of them's always lacking, so I just have to be present to see which one needs my energy that day or for a while till that comes back in balance. Like nutrition is the one that gets out of balance for me, and now coming back into it feels so good. So being forgiving with myself goes hand in hand with balance. There's no such thing as perfection. All right, let's boogie.
Powering on. Welcome to Alltech Lansing.
Oops. So this is kind of a random choice here I made a quick playlist this morning, and I'm just letting my body guide, my fingers sort of guide versus
Powering
my
on.
head
Welcome
thinking
to Alltech
on the
Lansing.
playlist.